Welcome back to the Professional Lovers Channel.
You know who we are,
Yes.
so we don't have to go through that. We're glad to be back. Yes, we are late, and as you saw from the first clip that starts out this video, we're paying, it's a dedication to, we say our dad, my dad, Claude Thomas Jr., who passed this past Thursday, which is why we're late. As you can imagine, we had a lot of things going on at one time. And so we just want to take a few moments to pay tribute to my dad, Claude Thomas Jr., who was a lifelong counselor and who, with my mom, spent over 30 years traveling the country doing marriage and family life seminars and really making
the family a true ministry.
Right. Really wanting to help couples learn how to create strong marriages and to help families learn how to create strong relationships within the family. And actually, I've never said it, but I'm going to say it now because it's in context of what we do with our Married at First Sight recaps, and that is that Pastor Cal and I actually went to school together and at Oakwood College. And he actually took my dad's class, Marriage and Family, and credits him with giving him the foundational understanding of what a healthy marriage looks like, which he and my mom modeled for 56 years. And so they have been well known in our faith community for their marriage and family life ministry. And so I'm proud of the legacy that he has left me and left us. And that's why we do this recap. So before I break down in tears, we're going to get started.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. So last week's show, the last two couples got married, Noy and Steve. And they seemed to hit it off. Noy felt like they had a good connection. Steve, had a lot of humorous icebreakers, and kind of takes that awkwardness out. We know how that is.
And I think due to the fact that he's a little older, he's a little more seasoned, he understands the awkwardness of the whole scenario that they're taking part in. I'm sure they all do. But as you get older, you kind of become a little more familiar with awkwardness, maybe.
Yeah, and so he was very good at doing that. Of course, in this whole this whole what am I trying to say?
Segment.
Yes. Well, the whole show. In this part of the show, everybody talked to friends and family, so they got some insight. And and when Steve told her that that question came up, so what do you do? He was like, well. What I did was she seemed to not be too concerned about the fact that he's currently unemployed. And so she said, I'm not too worried about that. We'll see what happens as time goes on.
Yes.
Alyssa and Chris, well, of course, Alyssa is the big, was I'm sure, the big talk of that episode. That's the word I was looking for before, that episode. Now, sabotage. I mean, friendly sabotage.
Unintentional.
We had a couple of people that engaged in some friendly sabotage, and Chris's boys were one of them.
Definitely.
Was one group. When she was talking to them. Now, first of all, we saw how important physical attractiveness was to her. She said it so many times, or they edited it so that it appeared like she said it so many times, that physical attractiveness was very high on her list. So when she walked down the aisle and saw him, you could feel the disappointment, because she couldn't even look at him. When they were being described by the minister to each other, and barely could look at him when they were saying their vows. So it was, but it seemed like she was, she said yes, right? She got
Yeah,
married to him.
yeah. But that's what she was there for. So,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah, but she seemed very disappointed, and felt that he, looked like a real estate agent,
Which
which
he
he
is.
is. But the biggest thing is when his friends
Yeah.
told her he can come across as condescending. He can be a little overbearing, and this is what you do
When that occurs.
when he change the subject, move on to something else. And I mean, and her mom kind of did the same thing. She can be stubborn, and but she has a big heart. At least mama gave some positives.
True.
Okay.
And where you're talking to three of your best friends, and they kind of all start with reservations.
Yeah.
It would cause anybody to think. Now, I would think that a person would always start off knowing that they would have to find out who this person is for themselves. Because now, whatever the relationship is with their surroundings, their encampment, will be a different relationship.
Exactly.
With, as a spouse. So, you take it with a grain of salt. You understand it, but you take it with a grain of salt because your relationship is going to be totally different from whatever theirs is. Now, characteristics, understandable, but again.
And that's the thing.
It should just
be characteristics.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I don't know that I'd say take it with a grain of salt, but understand where it's coming from.
Yeah. And what the dynamics of that relationship is.
And just be aware of it because she let them get in her head.
Totally.
And at the end of this show, of course, the last scene we see is she's talking to the producers saying she's not really, I can't stay in the same room with them. Poor dude is sitting outside like, what is going on?
Exactly. I mean, she makes it seem like he's a serial killer or something.
And, when he asks what's going on, she just kind of, I've heard some information that just didn't sit right with me, and however she said it. She let them get in her head. She chose to. Yeah. As opposed to even asking him. Exactly. And that's what I said. I mean, if it were that concerning, I would say, hey, your friends shared this with me, and it gives me a little pause, and I need you to clarify. There you go. Help me out. There you go. But no, she was already looking for a way out. Exactly, and that's because the whole she didn't want to be there in the first place, and he knew there was a vibe there because he kept asking, "Does she like me?" He asked her mother. He asked her friends, "Does she like me?" Because it was evident that she was not. She wasn't giving him. She wasn't wowed. Yeah. And she wasn't giving him anything to go on. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out in this week's episode. Katina and Elijah Katina said that she felt that he was kind, and again, she talked to his friends. They said patience is a huge factor. Now, again, friendly Sabotage, his brother, when she was talking to his groomsmen, and his brother made the statement, "I feel like he's going to try to mold you." That statement in itself for a woman, I mean, it's today's woman. And strong, independent. Again, these people are in their 30s. Right. So we're not talking like, they're teeny boppers or in their 20s. And you've been living your life for that long, the way that you live it. True. And I remember, when you and I met, and that was the first thing that I thought about is, you were what, 33? When we met. No, 34. Because I was 31. And who am I to go into a friendship with somebody that I'm just meeting and have expectations that you're going to change, or I'm going to need to change you to be what I need you to be? No, you're 34 years old. True. You've been living your life your way for that long. True. So that whole idea of molding somebody, which
It's
says I that you're not good enough the way you are.
yeah, or yeah. I don't even know how to even classify that to mold somebody, which makes me my first thought think that you're not quite what you should be
Right.
in my eyes, which I think that's that in itself is condescending.
Right.
You know,
Right. So for his brother to say that, she didn't give a whole lot of credence to it
yeah.
because she didn't comment. She didn't do an Alyssa. But
But also my thought of hearing something like that, you know, it would make me think that if I were Katina hearing that maybe he is accustomed to dealing with wallflowers that he can manipulate and change and mold, so to speak, whereas she's not she's not the one.
right.
So she can kind of take that as she heard it and move on, knowing that she's not one to be molded.
Right. Right. Um, he talked to her mom, and as usual, or like let me say, as we have seen previously, he talked her ear off. Now, of course, the production,
All of them.
of course, production, edited it
Played
all
it up.
together to make it seem like he. The other thing that was funny is, Katrina and Mom was instantly put off. I
There
hate
is
that.
no R in Katina.
Katina without the R. I hate it when people do that.
So from that point, suddenly we had little clips of Elijah Wan talking to Mom, and I think there was a total of 9 clips around the center clip.
And I don't know if the clips came after that, but what did come after that is she said, hey, look at that. What is that? Is that a rabbit? And then they show her just getting up and walking away. And he's like, whoop. Now again, that could have just been editing.
Yeah, the end of a conversation.
To make it appear that she just got up and walked away.
But they made it seem like he definitely talked her to the point of, okay, I've heard enough.
Yeah. So, they were feeling, good, positive vibes from each other.
Yeah.
He said he felt, loyalty and trust from her, and she felt kindness. So it that ended on a good note. Lindsay and Mark, Lindsay's aggressiveness and strength.
Energy.
Yeah, that energy just it overtakes everything.
Yeah.
And Mark said, I feel like I'm gonna have to
Rein that
pull
in.
some love out of her. It's in there. That kind of gentleness or compassion or that love, the warm fuzzies.
True, and that could be
because she's not warm and fuzzy.
That could be a self-protective mode on her part.
Absolutely.
If she's the assertive one, then she can cut it off when she chooses to, or whatever the case may be. But she's the one that is out there, and she basically dictates the energy. So
yeah,
again, that could be a self-preservation situation for her.
But he's gonna try to drag that love out of her.
Yeah,
the warm fuzzies out of her.
He's willing.
Yes, he is, and he connected with her dad and her brother very nicely because he doesn't have a dad,
right.
And I think that they
both have mother
issues
that they are dealing with.
Yeah. So it was nice to see that connection with the dad and the brother because that's important, isn't it, dear? I say that because I have 4 brothers and I'm the only girl.
Yes.
And
I've had to deal with all of them.
And he had to connect with all of them.
All 5 fathers.
Right. That's what I call them. Yeah. My 5 fathers. Yeah. The 4 in addition to my actual father. Okay, so our last couple, Jasmina and Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Again, patience was something that his sisters really harped on. But again, feeling the connection, the sisters talked with her. Embraced her by giving her a breast cancer awareness pin in honor of their mom.
Who passed.
Right, and that made her feel accepted into their family and connected to the sisters, which, Mike is the only guy with all sisters, so that becomes important. Just like for me, being the only girl with all brothers, that connection becomes important, because there's this automatic wall of protection around
and it's understandable.
that sibling.
True.
Yeah. And then Michael talked to her parents, with her stepmom, and again, friendly sabotage, because the husband, the stepmom's husband, kept throwing out little comments about her and the mom was like, "Oh, you just talking from your own experience. And like, stop projecting that."
Being an islander, it comes off a little differently when he just throws out lines.
Exactly. But mom said that she'll need vulnerability, which is kind of his weak point.
So he says.
Right.
And again,
because that's right. You didn't
I have a reservation about him even feeling that way, for the simple fact that he's grown up with women. So for him not to be vulnerable, not to be acquiescent, not to be
or to know how to
to deal
compromise
with
and
the female gender. I mean, to think that part of a relationship is a question mark. I don't really think it's as much of a question mark as he may think it will be. So that's just me.
We'll see if Al's prediction is right as we get further into the episodes.
All right.
So there you go. That was that episode 3? 2?
3.
3. So I believe in this week's episode, they go on their honeymoons.
Start the honeymoon.
And we'll see how things progress then.
Yeah.
And so you'll see us again this week. Hopefully there won't be any kind of delays. And until then, as we always say, stay safe. We told you last week that we had a COVID household. I'm feeling good. My son is feeling good. He, on the other hand,
I'm making it look good.
He's still struggling a little bit. So you guys keep him in your prayers. And then my mom is struggling. She had COVID as my dad was dying, and so it was just all a lot. True. So you guys stay safe. Do what you have to do to stay safe and act like this COVID is a real issue. Because
it is.
And we'll see you next week. Peace.
And enjoy.